Hello, you just reached MRN Crew Call, presented by Hercules Tires and Grunt Style Apparel. We're currently tying up phone lines and burning through cell minutes to get you closer to the guys on top of the boxes and over the wall down on Pit Road. Thank you for holding. You are now being connected to your hosts, Sammi Joe Francis and Rocko Williams.
Rocko Williams
is my lovely co-host,
a.k.a. We won't go there today.
Rocko Slaw Daddy.
Great to see you, Sammi.
Good to see you too. It hasn't been too long. Okay, before we get into what we did this weekend, I want to kind of give some shout outs to the winners. Of course, Kyle Busch was the big winner at Bristol. This is his second consecutive win.
2 times in a row.
Whew, all right, we're on a roll. And speaking of on a roll, see what I did there? You like that? All right. I have to give a congrats to the Rolling Hornets. They are the prep division, ages 3 to 13. They are the national champs of the National Wheelchair Basketball Association. So round of applause for them.
And what's the correlation there? Our producer?
Our producer is, yes, his son plays in the older division, but he has followed this team and done a lot of their video work, doing their highlights and things like that. So a huge congratulations to the Rolling Hornets. So awesome. Great job.
And Daryl.
And Daryl, of course. Yes, part of the family, of course. All right, and then this weekend, we had kind of a busy weekend, not just with NASCAR, but other car-related things. I had a guy reach out to me on my fan page and wanted us, Rocko and I, to stop by a charity event, a car show. And this was in Curtis Pond. The HOA had gotten together for a family whose house had caught on fire. And these are the cars that were there. 50 cars were registered, and the guy that Rocko is talking to here or there was the son of the family whose house had burned down. And they said, you know what, don't raise money for us. Insurance is going to cover it. So instead, let's raise money for the first responders because they were great. They got out here in no time and just really saved the rest of our house. So, Rocko,
really cool. It was really cool to see that it was all taking place in the neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
And the turnout was so good, and there were so many cool cars out there. But the stories that you heard from the owners of these vehicles,
and
as you see here, the kid, they knew it, and Poison Ivy, as you see right there, she was a little bit intoxicated.
These cars were so extra. This was Rocko's favorite.
That was my favorite right there.
That's my favorite.
The big brother, and of course the dog lover, Sammi. She couldn't stop. I mean, every time she saw a dog, she had to stop. But there was beautiful cars out there, a lot of great stories with these cars, and it was just good to get out in the community and
This
really
is the
talk
family
to these
whose house partially burned down. So they raised a lot of money because every entry, I think that it was like a $20 entry fee, and then a lot of the families actually gave extra. So we saw your favorite, which had the license plate BIGBRTHA.
Big brother.
Big Bertha, but Rocko says that it's...
And this is Sammy's favorite, of
course.
This
was my favorite, this yellow Cobra, and that guy's name is Bob Tucker, who actually used to build motors for NASCAR.
Yes, he
so
did. Maybe
in the future we can have him on the show. This car was amazing. So, of course, I had to ask for a ride-along.
Yes, you did. I don't think I could have fit in that car.
No, you couldn't have. So this car really had some kick to it. He said it's not very safe because it's all lightweight fiberglass.
He didn't stop smiling as soon as you got in the car for some odd reason.
Yes,
so.
and Rocko's play-by-play was much more interesting. We didn't have audio on it, otherwise you could hear how this engine purred. It was so nice, and besides being behind a car, he picked it up a little and gave it some gas.
Really cool event.
Yeah, it was amazing. So thank you for having us out. That was Curtis Pond HOA, a great event, and we got to see a lot of people. But, all right, coming up, we are talking about Bristol.
Got to talk about Bristol.
Some interesting things happened on pit road.
Yeah.
Lots of interesting things. And we have Joseph So, or Joso as you call him.
Joso.
Coming up as well. So we'll be back.
Jackman for Bubba Wallace. My driver, I should say.
Trained by the best. All right, we'll be back with more MRN Crew Call right after this.
Citywide to countryside, whatever you drive, wherever you go. Hercules Tires has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there, no matter where the road takes you. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com. Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength.
Grunt style. The American fighting spirit is in everything we make. We are 500 patriots and veterans strong, bringing clothing manufacturing back to the United States of America. Always moving forward, never retreating, never giving up. We are Grunt style, and this we'll defend. Get yours at gruntstyle.com or on the track this week at Richmond Raceway.
Live sports are the one true reality entertainment, where a single dramatic moment can become timeless. In NASCAR, Motor Racing Network's live broadcasts elevates your senses to the sights, sounds, and struggles taking place on the racetrack.
Keselowski to the bottom of the racetrack. He tries to slide up. Newman is there. Sideways is Keselowski.
The power of radio to the imagination of the listener. Tune in to the Motor Racing Network. Visit MRN.com for an affiliate list in your local area.
Thank you for holding. Now back to MRN Crew Call with Rocko and Sammi Joe.
Welcome back to MRN Crew Call, sponsored by Hercules Tires and Grunt Style Apparel. Like I said, a lot going on this weekend. 2 days for the NASCAR race.
Yes.
Because as
4
predicted,
days total.
Yeah, as predicted, the rain interrupted the race about halfway, not even halfway.
Not even halfway.
Through. Yeah, so they had a little shower and then they finally said, all right, we're going to call it. But it was the last great Coliseum and the battle of Kyle gladiators, Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch. It was an exciting race.
It was. There was so many storylines, and it was really refreshing to see old Bristol back. And what I mean by that, Sammi, is I have some homework on the board for you, and this would
all right.
This would correlate with what I'm talking about with Bristol. What is the first
Bump
group
and
of words?
run.
What does that mean to you? Which one do you think mostly is related to Bristol? You got bump and run, bump and grind.
I'm going to say bump and grind.
Bump and grind.
Yes.
Well, see, when I think of bump and grind, I think of R. Kelly.
So do I.
So
That's not what you're talking about?
No, we're not talking about your personal life.
Well,
but we're talking about Bristol. And Bristol is back, as they say, Bristol baby is back. I mean, the bump and run was back, and it was so refreshing to see that cars could actually come through the field and they could move other cars out the way. That's what I mean by the bump and run. It was an art form that was lost for many years, and Bristol.
Why was it lost?
Well, the track, initially in 2007, the track was resurfaced, and it was coming apart. They resurfaced the track, and they lost a bit of that bump and run at tenacity and that aggressive driving that the fans loved.
Right.
Bristol used to be sold out years in advance.
Yeah.
So they changed the track, resurfaced it, they added progressive bacon, all to no avail. The fans really didn't gravitate towards that style of racing. They would get single file, you couldn't pass.
Yeah.
So therefore they came out with the next group of words. What do you think the second group of words, which word best relates to Bristol?
Sticky Wet Bite or PJ1? I'm going to go with Sticky Wet Bite because it was raining this weekend.
There it is.
Okay.
But no. Like I say, we got to get your personal life out of this because we're talking Bristol. And
we're looking for a new co-host.
The PJ1 was a huge success. It was basically a substance that was applied to the track to create that bottom line and to bring that type of aggressive style racing back where you can come through the field, you are going to have tire wear.
So PJ1 is the Sticky Wet Bite that you're talking about. Okay.
Sure is, and it was a hit. It was a success to the point where a lot of the rhetoric and talking that you're hearing is, should this be applied at other tracks because the racing was so good and everyone was so excited about what they saw.
Best race of the season.
Best race of the season by far. You had so many storylines from Bubba Wallace, coming through the field, leading laps. You had Jimmy Johnson, Alex Bowman for Hendrick Motorsports with their first top fives of the year.
Yeah.
You had Ricky Stenhouse with great finishes. You had Kyle Larson spinning out, maintaining a top five after that. It was just such an excited race that if you were watching it in my house, you couldn't even hear the race. We were yelling, we were screaming, and it was very exciting.
I want to get to of course, the pit road.
Which is always exciting at Bristol.
And Kyle, you said that that's one of the trickier pit stops. Pit stop position really matters.
Yes.
Kyle Busch had the number 1. Do you think that correlated with his win?
Oh, yes. I mean, and when you're racing in Bristol, there's 4 spots you want to have at Bristol Motor Speedway, which is why some tracks qualifying isn't as important as it is at Bristol.
Right.
Bristol, you really want to qualify well so you can get one of those 4 premier spots, and they're typically on the corner. Kyle Busch qualified on the pole, so he had that prime position where it really helps you in maintaining and gaining spots on pit road. And such
he's
a
just
tight
been on fire
racetrack.
this year.
He is, and but like I say, pit road is so tight. And if I can get you to show a video right behind us,
this
is going to
really
show you
what
how
I'm
tight pit road is.
This is going to be exciting, and we're going to let you point it out.
Oh,
and
yes.
I say that because
This
was just crazy to watch.
I'm gonna
You
stand
sent
up.
this to me.
I gotta show you this.
All right,
go
get
ahead
your
and play the
leash.
video.
So Rogue tire.
Yes. The
Now
tire
what?
hits the wall. It was hit, and it comes right back to the chain, the tire carrier.
It was like a boomerang.
The tire carrier grabs it, and he continues with the stop. But if we can go back to the beginning, you can see that basically what has happened here is that as he ran out, the 31 car, Ryan Newman, hit the tire, and it was completely lucky, I would have to say.
Why
because
was the tire out there to begin with?
It was in his arm, Sammy. He's
he
walking
hit
out.
it.
This is the new way that a lot of teams are finding that they can gain a little speed. So as opposed to coming from the rear of the car
Gotcha.
and having the tire here, dropping it off, indexing, they are coming with 2 tires, running out in front of the car, dropping 1 tire off here, and then going to the rear.
That's
so
dangerous.
your arc is so much wider here.
Sure.
And although you might have speed at a place like Bristol, Sammy, you don't have a lot of space for that.
So what was wrong with this?
Nothing was wrong with it as far as if I'm the front tire carrier here and I know that I'm running near a car that's pitted in front of me, as is Ryan Newman here, I'm going to make sure when I jump out, I'm cognizant of this car that's coming in.
Sure, so
therefore, when you
car.
have 2 tires, you might not want to have the 2 tires like this. You might want to skinny up. It takes a lot of arm strength, but you might want to skinny up or wait for that car to get down. Yeah. Sacrifice a little time here so you don't get hit, because this could have been big.
Okay, but let's talk about the athleticism it takes to notice that this tire has now bounced off the wall and get it, so you avoid a penalty, right?
I don't think you cannot notice it. When a tire is knocked out of your hand,
sure.
He did a great job of setting it right here.
By catching it, though.
And he ran back to find the tire. That's why I say it was luck involved, because the tire hit the wall. It is airborne, and it was like God had a hand that just directed it right back to him. That typically is not the case. The tire would have been here, caused a bomb everywhere.
What penalty would you have gotten for that?
That would have been a loose tire.
Yeah.
Uncontrolled tire to the wall easily. And
so
luckily,
they avoided the penalty.
They avoided the penalty, being that he had the tire and controlled it, continued with the stop. So it was a close call, but he did a very good job. Tyler Mitchell, I believe, was his name. It was awesome. And
you guys call him?
I tell you, Tyler Mitchell probably earned himself 2 more race extension. In a workflow where job security sucks, he saved that team right there. And he deserves a big pat on the back. But at the same time, he must be living his life right, because he got a little lucky as well.
Right. There's luck and athleticism. Of course, you were saying there was so much chaos at your house that you didn't hear the broadcast, but a lot of the broadcasters were saying, even in the NFL, that would be a catch, and blah, blah, blah.
Well, they're not catching tires in the NFL, first of all.
No, they're not.
And they're not getting hit by 3,000+ pound cars
They're not
either.
Avoiding cars, exactly. Yeah.
Even though some of those hits might feel like car wrecks, they did a very good job of, averting, which could be a major penalty, and did well, and that stuff happens all the time. This is not totally unique.
Right.
In the realm of pit crew members, they see this, and which is why the veteran pit crew members might be a bit undervalued, because they've seen stuff. They've been through situations like this where they can handle and kind of predict situations like that.
This is a young guy, though, right?
Yeah, he is young. I believe this might be his first or second year. He handled that well. I really like the fact that he dropped what he was doing and went back and looked for the tire, and luckily it came back to him, and he knew exactly what to do. I really doubt he even thought about it. It was just natural instinct for him, and he did an awesome job.
That's good that it's naturally ingrained in him to do that, though.
With all that practice they put into it, that's what it's designed to do.
You know what's naturally ingrained in me?
What's that?
Country music.
Oh.
It's coming up. The Country 500. Come on, how many
I
weeks have we covered this? No. The Country 500 is going to be at Daytona.
That's right.
That is Memorial Day weekend, May 25th through the 27th. It is the Great American Music Fest at Daytona. You've got Dierks Bentley, Chris Stapleton, Toby Keith, and Sugarland, my favorite. And that's just a couple of the major acts on hand. You can go to country500.com for more information if you're not going to be in Charlotte. We have Joseph So up next. We'll be back with more MRN Crew Call right after this.
The race weekend doesn't have to end with the checkered flag. Carry the action over into Monday with MRN Motorsports Monday, presented by Outback Steakhouse. Log on to MRN.com and join veteran broadcaster Woody Kane and NASCAR spotter Joey Meyer as they review the race weekend and debate the biggest stories of the week ahead. Plus, some of the biggest names in the sport stop by to talk the latest topics. Make Monday your new favorite weekday with MRN Motorsports Monday at noon Eastern or anytime on demand at MRN.com.
When the smoke settles, the entertainment never stops.
Time just flies when you're busy, I think.
On race weekends, your favorite NASCAR personality is an everyday superhero.
And Martin Truex Jr. is a champion.
But when they leave the racetrack, they're just like everyone else.
You never know if you'll get another chance to do it.
I'm Susie Armstrong. Join me on a daily journey as we discuss the hot topics and engaging personalities of NASCAR Nation. Ned Jarrett's World of Racing, weekdays on the Motor Racing Network.
A new season is right around the corner, and NASCAR Today takes you along for the ride.
It won't be a huge change, but I'm looking forward to it. To be able to drive for Roger Penske on the Cup side has been something I've always wanted to do.
Nobody covers the sport like the Motor Racing Network, and NASCAR Today keeps you up front.
Go race and try to go for wins and keep developing our equipment and making sure our stuff's good for the kids that are coming up.
Get set for the green flag on the 2018 season with NASCAR Today, right here every weekday.
Thank you for listening to our program. If you like what you hear, tell your friends. If you don't, tell them we're NASCAR Live. You're being transferred back to Sammi Joe and Rocko.
Welcome back to MRN Crew Call, presented by Hercules Tires and Grunt Style Apparel. I'm Sammi Jo Francis with Rocko Williams, and on the line we have the rear tire carrier / jackman for Bubba Wallace. It's Joseph So for the number 43 team.
Well, hello.
What's up, Joe So?
He just doesn't sound like he has a lot of personality at all, now does he?
No, Joe So is the man, and like I said, you're working for my driver this year, Bubba Wallace. How is that working for the man, the young gun premiere this year? Were you excited when you or how did this come about actually?
Well, I was in between teams. I was working with Hendrick Motorsports for the past 3 years, and the opportunity rose with the 43 Cup Car with Bubba Wallace driving it. And you're not gonna not. He's a rookie. He's out there driving his tail off, and he's exciting to listen to on the radio. There's nothing wrong with working with the driver that's fired up and is very competitive.
Yeah, he was competitive. He showed that this week at Bristol with the bump and run. What was the atmosphere like on pit road for you guys watching him drive? Because when I saw him initially at the beginning of the race, I was like, ooh, this guy is driving aggressive. What was the atmosphere like for you guys on pit road watching him come through the field like that?
It was exciting. There was this energy that I haven't seen in the team. Like, you've seen signs of it, but all the worker guys, the pitcher guys, even Drew, on top of the pit boss, they were communicating very well. And the fans were cheering. It was very exciting to see that 43 SCT car up front running. It was being competitive. That was awesome.
What pit stall number did you guys have? Where were you on pit road?
We had pit stall 14 right before the start-finish line.
Okay.
Yeah. So who was in front and behind you?
We had the 1 car in front of us, and we had the 55 car behind us, I believe.
Joe, so I don't know if you saw the video that we were in our second segment that we were doing of, and I was basically alluding to the fact that it's so tight on pit road. Would you agree with me when I say that Bristol is one of the most challenging places and one of the most exciting places to pit a car at?
It is. The cars are so close together, and if the driver misses that mark that we lay down on pit road, that tape, to put his left front, it puts the jackman at risk. So there was one of the stops. Drew was, very good at communicating. Told me that he's a little close to the wall. You might want to angle your jack. So you got to change it up, and our communication is very good. It was great for him to tell me that, so I was able to angle my jack and continue and finish the stop.
If you were to rate Bubba Wallace as far as his ability to come in and out of the box, what would you rate him on a scale of 1 to 10? and you have impunity here. I've talked to Bubba beforehand, so you're not going to get in trouble. Just keep it real.
You know, we had an issue last week. I'm hearing about a sixer.
A sixer? Okay, so he's still learning some stuff.
A solid 6. He's getting better. He's very aggressive. You know, he's got pit road speeding, but, you know, if you're not trying, you know, why not?
You want that from your driver.
Yeah, definitely. We want him to be aggressive, to push the limits a little bit, and then, you know, it motivates us to do a little bit more, too. You know, we're out there fighting and battling on pit road to give him the best car that we can give him and gain him spots on pit road as well.
If you could compare this week's race to your Daytona race, where he finished number 2, what do you think the comparison is there?
Oof.
I know, tough questions.
It's tough. I want to say, like, this race is exciting because Daytona is Daytona. You know, he was out there driving his tail off and got up there, pushed the 3-car to the first place finish. But to see him bump and run past these previous champions, it was crazy. It was great for the team. It was a great morale booster, so it's something to build on.
And your pit stops mattered.
Bristol.
And your pit stops mattered. And it was cold. It was cold out there. It looked like it was cold out there. How did y'all handle that? Because, I mean, it looked cold. Your helmets looked like they were fogging up. I could see your breath on pit road. I mean, how do do with that?
I literally try to cover my face up as much as I can with that headset.
Not that pretty
because
face.
Because it was sleeping and raining. Like, the wind was blowing like 100 miles an hour. I'm like, what is going on here? It completely did a 180 from Saturday when it was red. It was like Saturday on pit road for Sunday was one of the hottest days so far. And going into Sunday and Monday being rain. And it was just like ridiculously cold, but we got through it. It was fun.
Did you have any special gloves? Because I remember on these cold race days, your hands freeze, it's all over. Did you go with the thicker gloves or did you stick with the flashy Joe Wan So gloves? What did you do to handle that?
Yeah, I stuck with my classic grip gloves. You know what I'm talking about? But, you know, I had to go try to fill some hands with my son.
Uh-oh. Joe, it sounds like you're on your phone, or don't get off the speakerphone, Joe, so we can hear you clearly.
I'm on my phone.
Okay.
Are you in the shower?
He's in Randall, man.
He's
in Welcome.
Crew guys.
He's in Welcome.
Welcome, North Carolina.
He's in Welcome. They practice out of RCR in Welcome, so.
And that is a remote location in North Carolina, so we'll allow the spotty cell service. I wanted to say something on the same page that you and Rocko are on. Apparently, you're both fashionistas. So I just need to know where
but
you draw.
I'm the daddy.
Okay, where you draw your inspiration from for your flashy outfits.
I just, you know, if you look good, you play good. You look good, you perform well. So if you take care of yourself, everything's gonna take care of itself. You know, I like my shoes that match my crew shirts. I like my shade lenses and my body frame, my helmet.
Preach.
Who knew?
Sammi rolled her eyes when you said that.
No, I rolled my eyes at Rocko.
Yeah, she rolled her eyes at me. Why'd you do that, Sammi? Sounds familiar, huh?
Because you said you were the daddy. That's why I rolled my eyes.
You look good, feel good, play good. Then you get paid good.
All right. That's a good rhyme to live by.
Deion Sanders.
Your Instagram is JOWONSO. Can we see some of those outfits and amazing pit crew moments there?
I think you post every day, don't you, Joe?
I post every day when I can. You know, I get dogged on because all the haters, but, you know, I'm going to keep doing it.
So, Richmond is coming up. Joanne, so we're going to be watching you. You got my driver in your pits. I mean, we need Bubba to do well, all right? And we don't need you guys to be the limiting factor. So you better step your game up and put my driver up front. You hear me?
Oh, definitely. The only time we get, you know, the praise is when we mess up, and I'm not trying to be on the news.
Yes.
Not for the wrong reasons.
No.
Of
not
course.
for the wrong reasons. I'm just victory lane. That's the only time I want recognition. I don't want it when I'm messing up or something happens on pit road, but we're going to do our job. We're going to here grinding.
Joe, where are you from? How'd you get into NASCAR?
Well, I'm originally from Newport, Virginia, but I moved to my dad's job, so I grew up in Salisbury, North Carolina. So I got brought in from college football. I played at Wingate University, right outside of Charlotte. And I got recruited, and I got my start at Rocko Racing.
Did you watch NASCAR as a kid?
I'm sorry, no.
What? But now you love it, right?
I love it. It was one of those things growing up. I was like, these guys just got on 21. But, like, getting into the shop, watching these guys work their tails off on these cars, you see how much work's being put in, and I appreciate it more. So I'm like, wow, this is awesome.
It's a different appreciation for it, for sure.
It is, for sure.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Joseph So. You can follow him on Instagram at Joe Juan So.
Proud of you, Joe Juan So. You're doing great at Petty Motorsports. I remember when you were a backup at Hendrick Motorsports, and you're balling out now. You're the best.
There you go.
You're the best out there. You're the best doing it. Proud of you, bro.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you for having me.
My guy.
We'll be rooting you on this weekend.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. All right, we'll be back with more MRN Crew Call right after this.
Grunt Style. The American fighting spirit is in everything we make. We are 500 patriots and veterans strong, bringing clothing manufacturing back to the United States of America. Always moving forward, never retreating, never giving up. We are Grunt Style, and this we'll defend. Get yours at gruntstyle.com or on the track this week at Richmond Raceway.
Join MRN as we travel through the life of NASCAR's most popular driver, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. comes back to the Daytona International Speedway, leading the pack.
I won races that I never thought I'd win.
From growing up under the Earnhardt name to super speedway wins to Whiskey River, we dive into everything Dale Jr.
He's Rain Man for NASCAR history.
You know, we weren't the typical family that got to sit down to dinner together.
Tune in to Junior's Journey, available on iTunes for download only on the Motor Racing Network.
The 1993 Cup Series season had more than its fair share of twists and turns.
Checkered flags waving. I look in my mirror, and here's Earnhardt right on my tail, and he goes down low to pass me. And I said, oh, no, you don't.
As Wallace spins, Wallace's car goes on its nose.
Here's stories that you've never heard before in a 10-part series called The 1993 Season, 25 years later.
And Davey was behind me, and we came off the corner, and there's a guy standing in the middle of the racetrack.
You can download it for free on iTunes and at MRN.com right now.
You've reached MRN Crew Call. Please deposit 25 cents to be upgraded to more quality programming. Otherwise, hold for Sammi, Joe, and Rocko.
Welcome back to MRN Crew Call. I'm Sammi Jo Francis. This is Rocko Williams. And if you deposit 25 cents, you actually just get the HD version of us, right?
Oh, I didn't know
yeah.
that. Yeah,
that's just the only more quality programming you can find right now. So we've got Richmond this weekend.
Yes.
Tell me the pros and cons of Richmond.
Well,
after such an exciting race this past weekend.
After you had in a race that you just had, the pros are we're going to another short track. You know, this was by far the best race of the year, and I really feel like the excitement.
Because it was a short track?
Well,
you think that's why?
That added to it, you know, with just the bump and run being back at Bristol, which is a short track, having multiple grooves there, and having the cars being able to fall at the end of the pack, drive their way back, you know, and just really run side by side. I really think that our fans love that. And Richmond is a little bit. Richmond is a little bit bigger track. It's a bigger track than Martinsville, but the thing about Richmond is you can run multiple grooves there as well. The pit stalls are bigger. I think the pit stop times will be faster. And just based off of what I saw at Bristol, I think we're really in for something special at Richmond.
Now, we talked about pit stall position being very important.
Yes.
At Bristol.
It's always important. Don't get me wrong when I say that. It's always important, but just extremely important at Bristol. Richmond is a little bit more lax, being that the pit stalls are a little bit bigger, and there isn't. You always want the number one pit stall. That's always what you want. As it relates to pitting a car.
Yeah.
But you won't see such a disparity in the pit boxes selected as you would have at Bristol. So that should make the playing field somewhat even.
Yeah.
A pit stop time wise. Right. But it still is very important to have a good pit stall there.
How do we feel about Kyle Busch?
Is
he going to go for number 3? I mean,
think he's going to go for 3.
We got kind of excited with Kevin Harvick almost going for
4. But he did get 3.
Now, he did get 3, but I want to see the record broken. Yeah. So if we get 3, do you think Kyle Busch can bring it home with 4?
Well, he's got to get 3 first before he can get
but
4.
you said this is a favored track for him, too.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
He does really well there. I just want to see him get 3 first. I really like Kyle Busch almost as much as I like Bubba.
As usual, I'm looking ahead. I'm hoping for records to be broken. Well, MRN is back with coverage this weekend. We've got pole qualifying on Friday. That's at 5:30. And then we've got the Xfinity Toyota Care 250 at 6:30 on Friday. And this week is a Saturday night race How is that different?
It is different. You have some teams practicing at night now just to prepare for this race. I know Hendricks Motorsports is, and there might be some other teams out there too. So,
yeah.
And it's always cool to see the cars under the lights.
Yeah, I always enjoy those, but I'm more of a nocturnal person. So the Toyota Owners 400, our coverage starts at 5:30. That is this Saturday night. Tune in, and we'll be back next week with more MRN Crew Call, and who knows what pit crew member we'll be talking to next week. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.